All right, welcome back. We are ACI course 11, class 5 already, January 26, 2026. And that's nice. Let's gather our minds here as we usually do, please. Bring your attention to your breath until you hear from me again. Now bring to mind that being who for you is a manifestation of ultimate love, ultimate compassion, ultimate wisdom. And see them there with you. They're gazing at you with their unconditional love for you, smiling at you with their holy great compassion. Their wisdom radiates from them, that beautiful golden glow encompassing you in its light. And then we hear them say, bring to mind someone you know who's hurting in some way. Feel how much you would like to be able to help them. Recognize how the worldly ways we try fall short. How wonderful it will be when we can also help them in some deep and ultimate way, a way through which they will go on to stop their distress forever. Deep down, we know this is possible. Learning about emptiness and karma, we glimpse how it's possible. And so I invite you to grow that wish into a longing. And that longing into an intention. And with that intention, turn your mind back to your precious holy being. We know that they know what we need to know, what we need to learn yet, what we need to do yet to become one who can help this other in this deep and ultimate way. And so we ask them, please, please teach us that. And they are so happy that we've asked. Of course, they agree. our gratitude arises. We want to offer them something exquisite. And so we think of the pure world they are teaching us how to create. We imagine we can hold it in our hands, and we offer it to them, following it with our promise to practice what they teach us, using our refuge prayer to make our promise. Here is the great earth, filled with fragrant incense and covered with a blanket of flowers. The great mountain, 4 lands, wearing the jewel of the sun and the moon. In my mind, I make them the paradise of a Buddha and offer it all to you. By this deed, may every living being experience the pure world. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala Kamniryatayami. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may we reach Buddhahood for the sake of every living being. I go for refuge until I am enlightened to the Buddha, the Dharma, and the highest community. Through the merit that I do in sharing this class and the rest, may all beings totally awaken for the benefit of every single other. All right, last class we learned the definition of joyous effort. What is effort? It is joy in doing good. Zungkong gela droa o. It's fun to say. And then we learned that there are 3, I don't know, 3 circumstances through which we're blocked in our joyous effort. One of them is laziness. One of them is being attracted to activities that we think are helpful or pleasant, but in fact are harming, are the causes of harm later. And then the third one was discouragement. That attitude, it's like, wow, Bodhisattva way of life is so cool, but I can't possibly do that. For whatever reason, we feel discouraged. And so we don't make the effort, or we're not having fun making the effort because we just don't think we're doing well enough. So this class, Master Shantideva is addressing this discouragement. Like, we must all get it, or he wouldn't spend so much time of his precious book on the how to overcome or prevent this personal, I just don't think I can do it attitude that can come on. So the term was giluk, we learned. And this class is on giluk me, which is no discouragement. What factors can help us not get discouraged? Right, I'm playing with my screen here so I can see you and the screen at the same time. So, Giluk Me here. So we might think that Master Shantideva would give us all these little tricks of the trade of when you're discouraged, do this, or when you're starting to feel that way, do that. And true to form, he doesn't give us those little practical tips. What he goes to is to point out the fact that we have Buddha nature. And because we have Buddha nature, there's just absolutely no reason to get discouraged. And it's like, even to hear that from Master Shantideva, it makes me a little bit discouraged because when I study my Buddha nature, yeah, I see that it shows me that I can become totally enlightened. But I don't know, I just don't quite get the wow factor that he seems to be pointing out. So I hope I can give you the wow factor from Buddha nature because then I can get it better myself. Uh, he's gonna Master Shantideva points it out in his verses, but of course because his verses are so cryptic, Geshe Michael explains it with greater depth for us from a different text, actually. So we'll get there. So Geshe describes that in the olden days in India, the king of any area, his job, of course, was to protect his people. And so he would have like 4 forces at his command. He'd have elephanters, charioteers, infantry, and cavalry, and he would use those forces as he needs to protect his people. And Master Shantideva uses that same analogy for us to protect our own mind, our self, from our mental afflictions. So he says we have these 4 forces, or we want to cultivate these 4 forces that we will use in circumstances where we are getting discouraged, getting upset from getting discouraged and wanting to slack off. So the first verse that we're talking about is the one you see on the screen. Never feel discouraged. Assemble the forces. Engage yourself gladly. Come to find complete command of yourself. See yourself and other people as equal. And finally, exchange yourself and others as well. So in this verse, he's not just saying, come on, grow these forces so that you can be doing your acts of giving, moral discipline, not getting angry enjoyably. But he's saying specifically, grow these forces to help us grow our bodhicitta. So if you recall, our bodhicitta is the wish to reach total enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. And there are 2 main methods for sequentially working on gathering the goodness that moves us towards the realization of the no self nature of myself and the no self nature of others and the no self nature of everything we do towards those others in order to grow this heartfelt wish to become one who can stop all of that suffering. And one of those methods was the 7-step cause and effect method. Remember, we'll learn it more later, but we've been introduced to it already. The second method is this method of exchanging ourselves for others. So both of them start with what's called equalizing self and others, which means coming to have the same amount of concern for others' well-being as we have for our own. Not saying they're more important than us or we are more important than them, but saying everybody just wants to be happy. Nobody wants suffering. And we're not just talking about humans. Any conscious being wants to be happy, whatever happiness means to them. So we're trying to grow this feeling in our heart that everybody wants the same thing. And then the second part of this method of growing our wish is these various steps that we learn that grow our ability to care for others, attend to their needs with the same, but care for their needs, recognizing that in doing so, that is the source of our happiness and our Buddhahood. So to exchange ourselves and others more deeply means to expand ourselves to include others. But the whole part, that whole phrase, is what our joyous effort is directed at, is growing our bodhicitta. And remember, there are 2 levels, 2 forms of bodhicitta. The wish, oh, I will put myself on my path to bodhicitta, and reaching the experience of ultimate reality directly. To bring on that experience requires planting the goodness that can ripen as that experience. The way we make that goodness is by conscientiously avoiding harming others, gathering goodness, doing both motivated by our bodhicitta, the wish to reach total Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings, which requires experiencing emptiness directly. So we can see how it all feeds together. In order to avoid harming and gather goodness with the mind of bodhicitta, we need this enthusiasm that keeps us on the path as things get hard, or right, they don't go as well as we had hoped, to keep us from saying, I'll do this later, or I need to do something else. Master Shantideva says there are these 4 things that we can cultivate, understandings that we can cultivate. He calls it assemble the forces. And then in that process of assembling the forces, we gain this self-discipline that sounds hard, and right, it doesn't sound so good to say self-discipline, but it means a happy state of mind discipline. It's the happy state of mind that is the discipliner that keeps us on our path. It's a little bit, I don't know. We don't think of it that way. Although, if you ever were in training for something that you were really, really enthused about getting good at, do you remember when you went to train, you were having fun? I mean, I remember I worked hard to get good at volleyball. And we worked hard in our training. We did drills. We wanted to just play. But coach said, no, you have to do the drills. You have to get good at the drills. So get over there, serve that volleyball to the back left corner, until you can do it 10 times in a row. And it's like, all right. Like most days, most of us were really having fun in our training. Some days it's like, I don't want to do it. Don't make me do it, right? The discouragement would kick in. So we've all done it. I think we've all experienced that it's when there's something we really want to learn to do and we're working hard to learn to do, it's fun. That's what he's trying to help us gather. This, our, our, our steps along the path to our transformation to Buddhahood can be fun. And if it's not fun, we're not likely to stick with it when things get hard. Okay. So what factors help us not get discouraged? There's 4 of them. Goche Sundru, Jorwei Sundru, Fleur Langhua, and Dakni Wangja Lesu Rungwa. Goche Sundru. It means the effort, Sundru, of putting on armor. Geshe called it chainmail effort. Chainmail, the soldiers in the olden days would put on this vest made of iron links, and then the swords couldn't get through the iron links to cut their body. So it was a kind of protection. And this chainmail is a mental attitude that we put on every day that allows the struggles that we meet or the habits that come up to react to those struggles to not hurt our efforts at practice. And he says there are various ones, but compassion is the most powerful chainmail for protecting our enthusiasm for our practice. And so it's not just plain old compassion. So plain old compassion is somebody's having trouble, we notice it, it's like, oh gee, I'm sorry. And we go on. And then there's the compassion that really wants to stop and try to do something. And then we recognize that even to stop and try to do something, if what we do helps, that's great. But that person will go on to have that trouble again or some other trouble. It's not ultimate. What we do, of course, is not ultimate. And then a deeper compassion is the compassion that comes up when we understand emptiness and karma of the situation. That then makes our compassion go beyond the circumstance we see the other person in. Because we see, or we seem to see, that the ignorance, the misunderstanding that's involved in whatever the situation is going on. And then we take that a little deeper and we recognize that, yes, I see them suffering. Yes, I see them reaching for a solution that is probably mistaken, but I don't really know their mind. I recognize that any suffering I see in them is in fact my ripening seeds. And so, yes, I try to help them in a worldly way. And I try to help others in worldly ways to clean up my mind so that I will see less suffering in the world. And that is how I help them more ultimately. That kind of compassion helps us be more eager to actually be aware of the suffering that's going on in the world, to show us where we still can do more to avoid harming, do the opposite of what we see going on that seems to be causing the pain, so that we change our mind in order to see that person's suffering stop. That's the only place their suffering stopping is going to come from, is our effort to change us. That level of compassion doesn't have the kind of feeling that compassion, ordinary compassion has, which is a little bit bitter sweet, right? Compassion is hard because somebody's hurting and we can't really do much. And so our tendency is to actually want to avoid it. Whereas wisdom compassion is it's like a, whoa, I can actually do something here. Like what I will try to do worldly way, I'm going to do with this state of mind to be able to help them ultimately someday by way of doing this worldly thing. So our compassion becomes this more pleasant, useful, motivating feeling. Goche Sundru. Wise compassion. Second force we can cultivate is Jorwe Sundru. Jorwe means to be engaged in, or to bring things together to bring about something else. It's the word they use for just plain old work, doing work. So the ordinary effort, that if we were to say what is effort, it's applying forceful activity to achieve a goal, like soon, rapidly. Jorwe Sundru is this: just working hard at something. But here it doesn't mean just working hard at anything. It means working hard at collecting the two collections. So remember last class, we talked about the collection of merit and the collection of wisdom. The collection of merit are the deeds that we do as we are cultivating our perfection of giving, perfection of moral discipline, perfection of patience. Those deeds done with our growing wisdom imprint our mind in such a way that when those results ripen, results in our perception of ourselves with that body made of light emanating as anything for anybody according to their need, spontaneously, effortlessly. Our collection of merit is the cause for our Buddha's form body. And then the collection of wisdom, which are our seeds planted by way of our efforts at meditative concentration and efforts to grow our wisdom, our knowledge of emptiness and dependent origination, all the way up to its direct perception. All of those seeds are gathering together to become the cause for the mental aspect of our Buddha perceiving our mind as omniscient and perceiving the Dharmakaya always, the emptiness of all existing things, simultaneous with the appearance of all things. So why did I go into all of that? Jor White Sindru is this working hard at gathering those two things. Protects our discouragement. Really meaning we can reach this level of awareness that recognizes every moment of every day is an opportunity to recognize that we are working with our giving, our moral discipline, our not getting angry. We have opportunities constantly. I hear myself say that, and I'm thinking back, as in my career, and I get a little discouraged just hearing that, because it's like, yeah, but so I've missed so many opportunities as I've been growing my awareness of my opportunities, and it makes me like, oh, how am I ever going to get it good enough, right? It's like the overachiever syndrome. I can't ever do anything good enough. Master Shantideva is like saying, come on. I mean, his ending is gonna address that. I'll jump to the punchline. He's gonna say, just start with little steps. Don't set your goal at Buddhahood tomorrow. Set your goal at getting out of bed with a little brighter attitude, maybe, and work at that little one. Well, I'll get there. So, working hard at gathering our collection of merit and our collection of wisdom, to realize we're doing it already by studying, by tracking our behavior, by doing our daily meditation. We are on this path. We are doing this. And so we can pat ourselves on the back and give ourselves some encouragement to know that we are doing well. The third force that we're cultivating is the lerlonghua. Lerlonghua means to throw yourself into it. Years ago, when I joined that girls' volleyball team in high school, all of a sudden, that's all I wanted to do. And every spare waking moment, school, homework, let's go play volleyball. And we just, we didn't have a net or anything. We just take the ball out onto the football field and just do our skills. If I could get somebody to go play, I would go. That's that enthusiasm of throwing ourselves into something. So here, what this means is cultivating this keen recollection and awareness that everything we do is an opportunity to apply ourselves, to apply these growing skills. And so we know these two words, Drumpa and Shishin, from our study of meditation. Drumpa means recollection, but it means recollection as in, here's my mind, here's my meditation object, and here's my mind. And when I first start to put my mind on my meditation object, it goes over here, and then the mind goes, oh, or I say, me, the meditator, says, mind, you're supposed to be on the object, and it pulls it back. and then it goes over here and pulls it back. Recollection, pulling it back. And then finally, Drempa gets strong enough that we have recollection, which is the mind will no longer leave that object completely. It'll stay on it when our Drempa is full on. And at that point, we're on our meditation object. Now the task is to pay attention for whether the mind on the object is starting to get sloppy, dull, or too agitated about it. Won't settle still. And our task is to reach the point where we're at the balance on the object, at the balance between dullness and agitation. That's the platform of a meditation that can get so pleasurable that we can penetrate through to the empty nature of our object without being kicked off the object out of fear. So in joyous effort, those two states of mind we're cultivating in our response to what's going on. So suppose we wake up on our given day, it's like, okay, today I'm working on my patience. And so I'm going to remember all day that I'm working on patience. And then I will have my awareness of watching the quality of my mind. Is it starting to get irritated? Because if I can recognize an irritated mind and correct that, the irritation that would have led to something triggering anger has already been short-circuited. It takes awareness of being irritated in order to short-circuit the irritation before something happens that triggers my anger. It takes this awareness. The recollection, I'm working on anger, and the awareness, my mind's on the verge, and act there. When we are doing that off cushion more and more, our ability to use those two states of mind on cushion gets stronger and stronger. As we use those two states of mind on cushion more and more, our ability to do it off cushion grows more and more as well. They are not focused on the same thing, of course. Our Drempa in meditation is different than the Drempa on I'm working on my patience today. But the quality of the mind's function is the same. Same with the awareness, the watchfulness, the shesha. So we're cultivating these two states of mind as this tool for preventing our discouragement. Because when we are able to have our recollection of I'm working on my patience today, and that clear awareness, I'm feeling irritated, I want to fix that before I go interact with my boss at work, or I'm not going to react well to anything that boss says because I'm already so agitated. It can be fun, right? It can be like our own personal challenge. How alert can I be to my own favorite mental upsets that I've actually grown used to living with? So I didn't really think of them as upsets. But now with my more clear understanding of how I'm creating my future by way of my attitudes and behaviors, I want to cut through some of those underlying expectations of others, expectations on myself, habitual reactions when things don't go well. We have these tools that we can make we can make a program for ourselves and work at it. This is the chainmail is what we're going to work on, the throwing ourselves into it, the Jorwe Tsundru, and then these two states of mind to keep us working with it, challenging ourselves and hopefully having a good time doing it. That's the whole idea. The fourth force we are growing is this Dakni Wangja Lesu Rungwa. Dakni is the word for myself. Dakni Wangja means self-command, like discipline, like self-discipline. We're in charge of our behavior, and we can make more wholesome decisions for our behavior based on our growing understanding of why we want to avoid harming others, why we want to try to help others in more and more subtle ways. The Le Surungwa means work, fit for work. It's the term that's used for the retreats that a Diamond Way practitioner does. That Diamond Way has two levels, creation stage and completion stage. And the practices that you do in creation stage are planting the seeds to bring about the transformation from ordinary being to fully enlightened being. And the creation stage creates the causes for the transformation, and the completion stage completes it, brings it about. The Lesa Rungwa is the term that they use for when you go into an isolated retreat to do the creation stage work, undisturbed by outer life, worldly life. We do the practices in life and in worldly life and in retreat. But in retreat, all you have to do is that work. And those retreats are called Lesa Rungwa, meaning making us fit for work, meaning making us fit for the work of being Buddhas when we get there. Like when we become Buddha me and Buddha paradise, it's not like suddenly you're on perpetual vacation. It's like it's the start of our career, this career that we've been longing for. I want to be Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. Whew, right? We need to make ourselves fit for the work. The Lesa Rungwa gets shortened to Lerung. So that's the term we hear is Lerung retreat. Have you done your Lerung retreat? Yes, I've done my Lerung retreat. It's this term. It has the connotation of when we've repeated something over and over and over again, that our body and mind get so accustomed to it that it becomes like automatic behavior. Again, I like the athlete example because I'm familiar with it, where you work hard, and then you really can step up to the court and serve that volleyball exactly where you want it, 98% of the time. Every now and then it goes the wrong place, but you can do it, and it's easy and it's fun, and it's almost effortless because you've done it so many times. My guess, as a musician, you have that same feeling when you finally have mastered a piece and somebody says, "Will you play Jingle Bells for me?" And you sit down and you just do it. with pleasure, like that. That's Lesurungwa. Our mind and body get into that groove and it just flows. That is what we are cultivating in our gathering the collection of wisdom, collection of merit. To have it be so smooth and automatic that it's pleasurable. To not stomp on the ant, to drive ever so carefully to protect everybody, to not yell back at the yelling boss, to take flowers to the coworker that you really don't like, right? Things like that become les surungwad. It protects our mind from discouragement. And then, as I said earlier, Master Shantideva says, use these four armies to the point where we are able to have concern and care for others at the same level that we have concern and care for ourselves. It seems almost too much to imagine. Those who have had kids, I have not, so I don't know. But when your kids were babies, they were more important than you. And at some point, they're still more important than you. But then on a daily basis, right, your tasks that you need to get done and their tasks that they need to get done, they start to separate. But we have this capacity to put another being ahead of our own needs. And then using that example, we can see how, well, why don't I do that with everybody? And, worldly human mind says, you're not supposed to do that with everybody. Everybody will take advantage of you. Your baby will not take advantage of you. You're just taking care of baby's needs to keep them alive because you love them so much. And, this tradition will say, no different, right? Your angry, yelling bosses, no different really than your baby. We're wanting to grow this state of mind that includes everybody in our wish for happiness. That's one method for doing it. Is everybody frozen or just memorized? Okay, so all that said, he says, never allow yourself the feeling of being discouraged, of having the thought, how could I ever become enlightened? About this, those who have gone thus, the ones who speak the truth, have spoken the following words of truth. So Master Shantideva is quoting Lord Buddha from a sutra to show us that he's not making this stuff up and to help us be encouraged, because Buddha is someone who has been there and done that, made all the mistakes, figured out how to follow the instructions to stop making those mistakes, and brought about the end of their own ignorance and selfishness and made this transformation into Buddha, into being a being who, because of their love and compassion and wisdom, now is omniscient, experiences directly what we need to do to stop perpetuating suffering. And so what they hear themselves say as instructions has to be accurate. It has to be correct because they're omniscient. They can't hear anything mistaken or wrong or non-existent. So Buddha says, in response to some brave disciple who asked a question, who must have asked a question about, I'm so discouraged. I love these teachings. I love you, Lord Buddha, but I don't think I can do it. It's too hard to exchange myself for others. What? Right? And Buddha's answer is those beings who are flies and gnats or bees, or even those who live as worms as well, can reach unmatched enlightenment, so difficult to reach, if they develop the force of effort. Bees and gnats and worms can get enlightened if they just try. Does that help us feel less discouraged or more discouraged? Oh my gosh, I'm worse than a worm? No, you're not worse than a worm. So this comes from a sutra called Laksanki Shupedo. Pull that up here. Do means sutra. It means this sutra requested by Subahu. Lakshang is this person named Subahu. So Master Shantideva's point to the humans he's talking to is, look, if bees and worms can do it, you as a human are already so much closer. And humans have the capacity to choose their behavior, to judge an action as to whether it is a kindness or a not kindness, and then make a change in our action if we want to. Humans apparently are the only manifestation of a mind that has that capacity. Hell beings are in too much pain to consider their reaction. Hungry ghosts are in too much distress to consider their reactions. Animals have too much dullness, right? They're on automatic pilot. That's what it is to be animal. Jealous gods and pleasure beings, you would think they would have the capacity, but their circumstances are so pleasurable that it doesn't occur to them to wonder, why is this happening to me? Which is what starts a human on their quest, is, enough disappointment in life, enough, this system is broken, understanding, to make us finally go searching for some answer. Form and formless realms, similarly, the mind doesn't ever question, apparently, at least until the last period of time of those lifetimes where suddenly they're getting a glimpse that it's too late to do anything, and they've used up all their goodness. We understand what happens. So humans are in a perfect position, even if we're a human that's only just met the teachings. Like we've only heard the pen 100 times instead of 100,000 times. We're so new at it. We're still light years ahead towards our Buddhahood than we were from when we were a bug. But even as bugs, if they somehow could make the effort, there's something about them that is such that they could get enlightened. So to be a human who has our faculties still intact, who has met the Dharma, who has the interest in the Dharma, to study at the level that you are studying at with a teacher, Geshe Michael, I'm talking about, who has not just translated the language that the scriptures were in, but has helped us wrap our minds around it conceptually in a Western way. All of that is extraordinary, so extraordinary, right? That your position is the discouragement. Like if we really got how unique each one of us is, discouragement would not even be in our vocabulary. I have to admit, it is still in mine, one of my mental afflictions. But to look at the circumstances that we have, knowing that they're coming out of our own seeds of past kindness towards others, helpfulness towards others. The idea is it's meant to help us, like, whoa, jumpstart when we get discouraged. To recall, oh my gosh, I have access to this material. Whether you actually believe you've created it out of your own seeds or not, just to be in this position with the time and the interest and the access, it's like, whoa, you are on the path. Pat yourself on the back. So Master Shantideva is saying, when you get discouraged, think of this one. But it's not just that because flies and ants could do it, I'm so much better off. It's to understand why it is that flies and ants and bees and worms can get enlightened. There's something about bees and worms and us that's similar. And that's the understanding that takes our ability to overcome discouragement deeper. And that is the fact that any conscious being has Buddha nature. So in Tibetan, Buddha nature is Sangye Kirik. In Sanskrit, it's Sugata Garbha. So to go into this in greater depth than Master Shantideva did, Geshe Michael goes to Lord Maitreya's teaching to us Sangha called the Abhidharma-alamkara. I think it's jewel ornament of realizations. He goes into this concept Buddha nature in great depth. So that's where we're going as well. And then we'll come back to Master Shantideva. So let's take our break before we dive into Buddha nature.
Can I tell you something? It looks like in the vocabulary, the word Gyawok is Gyawoy.
Down here?
Yeah. There's two instances of it. If that's the ultimate authority, I don't know, maybe it's changed, but can
And you
probably,
have that from the reading?
there's a list of the Tibetan in the resources and in the reading or in the notes.
The student notes?
Student notes and in the list of Tibetan, there's a separate PDF with Tibetan.
Yeah. What about in the answer key? Is it in the answer key?
Ooh, answer key. I didn't look there. Answer key. So that would be for class 12.
Yeah.
Class 5. Um, mhm. Yeah, with a Y.
With a Y. Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
in both instances there
Is it
and
clear in my
2 1.
notes?
Oops, I'm gonna run the bathroom.
Yeah, woke makes more sense. Okay. Never seen a word like that. Thank you. Okay, are we back? So Zange Kirik means the seed for Buddhahood. Sugat Garba. And Geshe-la said, probably when We hear the word Buddha. We think of Shakyamuni Buddha, that guy who got enlightened at the base of that big tree. And Geshe-la says that's limiting. That when we hear Buddha, we should think two things, but then he gave us three. So when we hear Buddha, think three things, or two things that's really three. One, think a mind that perceives all things in the universe. A mind that perceives all things in the universe. Secondly, a mind that's filled with infinite compassion for all those things in the universe. And third, a body that's appearing everywhere in the universe to help everyone, not just human, everyone. So technically, those three things is what we are aspiring to when we say, may I reach my total enlightenment for the sake of all sentient beings. May this mind be omniscient, perceiving all existing things always. May this mind be this infinite compassion for all those things. And may this appear as everything for anybody. It's so beautiful. I find that so inspiring. Like, of all the things that helps my discouragement, it's just thinking through what it is I'm trying to create. But then when we hear that, is like our next thought, wow, sounds great. I can't possibly do it. I do remember those old thoughts. Mm. Can my mind in its current condition be omniscient and totally compassionate? No, it doesn't. It doesn't have the seeds for that yet. It still is ripening and planting seeds that believe in things having their own nature, me having my own nature. And as a result, the me is more important than other. It can't help it because it's forced to experience itself that way by the seeds that are ripening. And every ripening gets burnt off as is new seeds are planted in the process of the reaction. And it's that process that's happening continually changing. And so we can create the causes that when they ripen, force us to experience our own mind as omniscient, infinitely compassionate, and emanating a physical appearance, right? Appearance that appears physical in the same way our appearances do now. So in this term Sangeki Rik, our Buddha nature, the Rik means this potential inside of us to reach the point where we are forced to perceive ourselves in that way. Hooray. So they give the definition of Buddha nature as Sangye Sugyurung, Sugyurung, Sangye Sugyurung. Sugyurung means anything which can turn into a Sangye. Sangye means a Buddha, Buddha, total enlightened being. The definition of Buddha nature is anything which turns into a Buddha. Geshe-la says it that way. My own mind wants to say that which turns into a Buddha. It makes more sense to me, but I think it's limiting me in some way. He says anything which can turn into a Buddha. But now, can a table turn into a Buddha? Can a table be a Buddha? I see yeses, I see nos. I just saw a mind change. If I need a table, it it could be Buddha emanating as a table for me. Well, so is everything that I experience a Buddha emanating for me? What is and what isn't? Technically, everything could be. Egads, right? I better treat my table nicer. Do I have to see it? Well, anyway. But can a table that I don't see as Buddha, well, I'm getting myself into trouble here. Can a table that I don't see as Buddha become a table I do see as Buddha? Yes. Will it have done it from its own side? No. Right? It would have to be from my side that my mind changes how I perceive the table. Can I just decide I'm going to see that table as a Buddha and then see it as a Buddha? I've tried. Still looks like the same old table. And then that confuses me a little bit, is because, like, if it's always been the Buddha, then it's always looked like that. And so now that I know that it's a Buddha manifesting to me, why do I think it's going to look any different? Do I expect it to glow all of a sudden? So I don't really know what it means to experience a table as a Buddha, because I haven't ever done it spontaneously. I've done it by deciding I'm going to try, but that doesn't necessarily mean right? Just the seed is different. I'm going to try to treat my table as a is different than, wow, Buddha, right? Neither one is more correct than the other. Both are ripening seeds forcing my experience. Both are valid. Either are accurate. So when we say that which can, anything which can turn into a Buddha is Buddha nature, is it something we are or is it something we have? Like, what is this thing, Buddha nature? I wish it were more clear. It's a slippery topic and it's been misunderstood, which is why Geshe Michael goes into it in depth here. Because commonly he finds when people say Sugatha Garba, the Sangye Karik, they will then say every being has this little crystal Buddha inside them already perfect. And all we have to do is uncover it. Right? Our humanness, our ignorance, it all covers up something that's already there, implying there with its own nature, its own qualities in it, from it, this little thing inside of us. already? Can our Buddha nature be there like that already and just need to be uncovered? It would mean it doesn't need to be created. It's already been created. Can an omniscient mind already created be covered up with anything? No. Could we not know ourselves as omniscient? If it's our own mind that's omniscient, just covered up, right? How's that possible? Because you'd know you were covered up. And if I didn't know it before and now I know it, well, then my mind was not omniscient, which means that little thing Buddha is not a total Buddha. If it's in there at all, it can't be Buddha already. Can there be a seed? An imprint. They don't really call it a karmic seed, but it has to be. Like everything is karmic seeds. Some kind of imprint that any conscious being has because they are a conscious being. So when they say this definition of Buddha nature as anything which can turn into a Buddha, what they mean is any consciousness by way of being conscious has this capacity, this potential to create the causes that when they ripen, force them to perceive their own mind as omniscient, their heart as ultimate compassion. And that compassion shows up as everything for anybody. That's our Buddha nature, which is why bugs have it, worms have it, because they're conscious beings. Hell beings have it, hungry ghosts have it. Any consciousness has Buddha nature because what it has is its empty nature. So there's actually two sides of Buddha nature. There's the Buddha nature that refers to the emptiness of our own mind. And there's the Buddha nature that is the way that mind appears. To have one is to have the other. To have a mind is to have the emptiness of the mind. And because of that emptiness of the mind, that mind can be influenced in such a way that it comes to force the perception of omniscience, perceiving all existing things and their no self nature simultaneously always. So they say there are these two main things that turn into Buddha. The Rangshinnerik, this next one, Rangshinnerik. Rangshin means innate. There's innate Buddha nature. And there's the Buddha nature that needs to be cultivated. Geshe called it developable. Mm, this one, Gengyurkirik, the Buddha nature that needs to be developed. So the innate Buddha nature is the Rangshan means exists in you by nature, like it's almost saying self-existent, but it's not. It means the very fact that there is awareness, that's an appearing thing. It is 100% lacking its own identity and qualities. Awareness is also dependently originated and empty of self nature, which is how there is awareness. If there was self existent awareness, independent of any other factor, it couldn't have any experience because experiences influence would it influence it and it would change. And something that has its own nature independent of anything else can't change. Our mind depends upon our karmic seeds, just like everything else. Awareness, 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 awareness. Our very awareness is empty of self nature. And that's its Buddha nature, innate. Innate because there is awareness and there always has been. So the one thing that we all know right now is you can say to yourself, I am aware, right? I am aware. We know that. You're experiencing it moment by moment. And each one of those moments of the truth of I am aware has to be a result of a cause, which had to have a previous moment of aware involved. And the one before that, and the one before that. So to have an awareness now means that that mind, that thing we call mind, yours and mind, has always been. It didn't have it wasn't there and then suddenly it got born. It's always. It's never been the same two moments in a row. And no, I don't know your own mind. I just know mine, and it's not perceiving itself as omniscient yet. So it never has been Buddha, been omniscient, ultimately compassionate, and emanating as a result. But it has always lacked self-existence. It has always been something that's been part of the process of seeds ripening and nothing but. Do you see? So to be aware is to have Buddha nature because the awareness itself is 100% empty of self-existent. Yes, Kong Li, you have a question there?
Yes,
Can it
I
wait?
can. I off my video for this one you're saying that nature Buddha by nature. Can hear me? Can
Yeah.
I? Ah, so is it means that, originally everyone has this kind of quality, or because like previous life we have planted some seeds and then, maybe we study sutras and things like that. So this life we have this kind of nature,
No,
or
this is
is
saying, yeah, wait. So this is saying to be conscious is to have Buddha nature, because the consciousness itself
ah
lacks self-existence, and that emptying of self-existence is this innate Buddha nature. So it's not
originally?
like you developed it in this life. It's the emptiness of the mind that is you in this life.
So, which means that originally is there, the emptiness.
Right. Well, originally it's there. It's always been there, but you can't
Ah,
say originally because there is no
oh,
originally.
all right.
It's always been.
So, which means it's by nature is there. If let's say you have a conscious emptiness mind, the Buddha nature is there.
Right. By way of being conscious,
Ah,
Buddha nature is there. But the
ah,
Buddha nature we're talking about there is an absence of self-existence.
yeah.
And that's where the misunderstanding comes in, because people who aren't well trained in thinking of absences, the
Uh-huh.
presences of that absence, here, oh, every consciousness has Buddha nature. They think of it as a thing that it has, rather than the absence of something that we thought it had, which was its own nature, right? It's
Ah,
very slippery, and we need to chew on it, chew on it, chew on it. But then there's
ah,
also the second factor of
uh-huh.
Buddha nature.
Ah. So the coming one, the second one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Ah,
yeah. Coming.
okay. Thank you.
So they give an example, the classical example of this innate Buddha nature. They say it's the emptiness of a old scroungy mutt's mind. And the Tibetan is here. In the interest of time, I'm not going to go through it word for word because I have a lot yet to say. It in Master Shantideva, his example is bees and flies and worms have it. Classically, they say a scroungy old mutt's mind, because it's a mind, it has Buddha nature. Because that mind is lacks self-existence. That mind is forced to be the mind that it's experiencing it as, by way of the seeds ripening, perceiving itself as a scroungy old mutt, if it does. Okay? I don't know what the mutt perceives itself as. So if the mutt perceives themselves as a mutt, when it looks down, right, it sees pause. In the same way that when I look down, I see hand. Getting more and more wrinkly, more and more freckled, more and more stiff. Why can't I just look at this information and see glowing body of light? Because I don't have a choice in what my mind ripens the information to be. The label and function is not in the part. The label and function gets put on information by the consciousness, by the awareness of the information. If that were under our choice, we would all say Buddha for everybody. It's not under our choice. It is experience, valid experience. All experiences are results of causes. something I've done made the causes that forced me to see this as human hand, good thing, aging human hand, not so good a thing, but still living human hand, that's a good thing, right? This shift between positive seeds and negative seeds, all of them have some positivity, some negativity in them, the perfect amount to be human, actually. If this arm or the dog's arm was self-existent, self-existently Sarani's hand, that would mean that if this were put on a table and everybody goes away, including me, anybody who came up and saw it would go, oh, Sarani's hand there. Even the fly, because the hand would be saying, Sarani's hand, Sarani's hand, Sarani's hand. And it's ridiculous, right? Same with everything that we experience. They can't have their identities in them. And two of us see things differently. Because if they had their identities in them, they would make everybody perceive them the same way. And even if we say, well, no, maybe the hand would decide to show Victor something different. But then that means the hand is not self-existent because it was depending upon its awareness of Victor to choose to show itself differently to Victor. So even if there's a hand here all by itself and it looks different to you than to me, it can't be self-existent. It has to depend on the observer, the experiencer. And it's so obvious when we go through it point by point. But then we get in the car and drive down the road, and all those self-existent cars are out there, and may they stay out of my way. Right? We so habitually go back to believing that things have their natures in them, even as we rationally know that they can't. It feels almost impossible to stay in that space of everything is my seeds ripening and nothing but, without falling into this idea. It's like, well, then nothing's really happening and nothing really matters. And so, it's all just this constant shape-shifting, and we just are misunderstanding. Could we organize this same information into something different? Yes, not by choice. So really, the question would be, are we organizing this information into different things? For myself, every time it moves, I have organized it into something different. For you, every time it moves, you have organized it into something different. So yes, we are organizing information into differentnesses all the time, but we can't do it by choice. It all happens by projection. That's what we mean by projection. This constant stream of the mental imprints showing up as their result. At the end of the karmic seeds for this body, that mind that's shifting will project something different. and something different still, and something different still. And that process we call bardo and then rebirth. Right? The mind stream that's streaming through this lifetime continues to stream on. It doesn't pause at death. It doesn't really even change directions. It's just in this constant stream of seeds ripening, seeds planting. Our experience of it is very different, but the process is continuing. So when we are serving others, particularly, even more especially when we're doing so motivated by our bodhicitta, the mental impressions we are making will result in experiences that are very sweet and powerful. When we perceive ourselves causing harm, being the cause of harm, those impressions will bring about ugly and dangerous experiences as their results. So if we want to be forced to perceive our physical appearance as these angel arms of light, that we first need to make the mental impressions that can create that result. And as we make those mental impressions, we are creating that result, even though it may be a very long time before we experience that result. When we shift to our understanding that what I plant is more critical than what I'm experiencing, our enthusiasm for our practice grows. Typically, we are in react mode, and we're seeing that our experience now is a reflection, bless, of the quality of my efforts. And so as long as I'm still seeing and experiencing yuck in my world, I'm feeling discouraged about my practice because it hasn't been clean enough. It hasn't been pure enough. It hasn't been enough because I'm still seeing bad things. But it's a mistaken conclusion because it could be that our goodness is still growing, 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 growing. And that all of the yuck that I'm seeing is these opportunities to burn them off, not replant them, grow the goodness, and just allow the results to take care of themselves. Keep planting, keep planting, keep planting, regardless of whether circumstances around me reflect that change. They will, they have to. But if we are tagging our quality of our practice to the result we're getting, now we're missing out on this opportunity to have this enthusiasm of the process of growing our Buddhahood. We can be enthusiastic about our growing our Buddhahood without seeing our Buddhahood right around the corner. So that's where the understanding about Buddha nature helps us, is to recognize because everything I do makes this imprint on my mind, and if everything I do is motivated to help me become the being that will stop all the suffering of my world, everything I do can be a cause for that. And then all I need to do is live with this attitude, and it will happen. Tomorrow? Maybe. Tomorrow comes. Oh, not yet. Okay, more. Kindness. Oh, not yet. Okay, more. And maybe that transformation happens so subtly and subtly and subtly that we don't recognize that it's already happening. Because if we're not omniscient, how do we know what life would have been like? You know, when I get to moaning, Samati always says, yeah, but what would the world be like if you hadn't done all these things that you have done? Like, would it be way worse? Yes, right? It would have to be if I haven't spent the last 25 years cultivating kindness. My world would be way worse. He's great at reminding me of that. Okay, so because our minds are empty, we have this seed for Buddhahood. Then we have, I have to find it. We have the Buddha nature that is developable. It's still called Buddha nature. In order to have the Buddha nature emptiness, we have to have something that is empty. And that's the developable Buddha nature. The Gengirki Rick, it's down here. The innate Buddha nature doesn't need development. It is 100% lacking self-nature. The thing that is 100% lacking self-nature needs development. My mind needs development. Oh my gosh, did I just say my mind is Buddha nature? Like I might get slaughtered on the debate ground for that. But there has to be something that's appearing, always appearing, but not always the same, that has the emptiness that is my Buddha nature. And that's our moment by moment awareness. It is this thing we call mind, but then we misunderstand mind. We think that it's a thing that then has experiences and changes, but it's not. It's the awareness aspect of every experience. So that awareness has an appearance, the awareness, and it has the emptiness of its appearance. So it has its innate Buddha nature, its emptiness, and its appearing nature, which we want to develop into an awareness that is colored by belief in self-existence, into an awareness that is colored by omniscience instead. That needs to be developed because it will be a result of causes. What causes? Everything we are aware of ourselves doing colored by bodhicitta. Seems circular, doesn't it? To get bodhicitta, you have to have bodhicitta, and to have bodhicitta, you have to get bodhicitta, and to do both is what it is to become Buddha. How's it ever going to start? Ta-da, we're starting it. We're doing it. So their example, their classical example of developable Buddha nature has to do with that scroungy old mutt. They say it's the seed for it's the seed for an immaculate mind in the mind of the old scroungy mutt. So this one's hard. I still don't completely get it. How's that different than the seed for Buddhahood being the emptiness of the mind? So because the scroungy mutt's mind perceives it as a scroungy mutt, if it does, I don't know, but let's say it does. The fact that its awareness, it has emptiness, that's its innate Buddha nature. And because that awareness has emptiness, emptiness is 100% pure thing. It means that that mind has the capacity to become immaculate, to become pure. A pure mind is a mind that's omniscient, compassion. So it's saying because the mutt has a mind, and because that mind is empty of self-existence, that the mind has the seed for becoming a Buddha mind, just because it's has awareness. The awareness is the appearing side. That's what needs to be developed. That's what needs to plant the seeds that will force it to see itself as omniscient. That's developable Buddha nature. A table doesn't have it because tables don't have consciousness in our world. Rocks don't have it, but worms do, gnats do, ants do. Questionable about plants. It's scripture says plants don't, but I don't know, science is showing how plants interact with their environment and communicate, and it's like, I don't know, maybe my goodness is shifting to where there is also plant consciousness. I don't know, more beings to help, but then I need to be able to get by without eating, if that's true. But anyway, that's not scripture. So are you following me? We were at, how is it that I shouldn't get discouraged? Master Shantideva quotes Lord Buddha. Bees have it, gnats have it, worms have it. They can get enlightened if they just apply the effort. Okay, implication, you're human. Come on, right? There's nothing to get discouraged about. You're so much closer. What is it we have? Gnats, bugs, you, me. Innate Buddha nature, the emptiness of our mind, and the mind. The fact that the mind is there, that's empty, means it has the potential to become pure. By way of somebody bonking us on the head? No. By way of cleaning out my negative seeds, my selfishness, planting seeds for wisdom? Yes. Which is how it's gonna work, how it's gonna happen. Another reason then to overcome our discouragement is that we understand the process to some extent. And that's so much more powerful than a worm. Because even if a worm could understand the process, what it is to be a worm is you couldn't apply yourself very much. So hooray, I'm not worm, I'm human. But I could be worm if I'm not careful. So that's also supposed to boost our avoiding discouragement. It's like, egads, this life's almost done. Have I? Every moment of opportunity is opportunity to plant seed. Yay. Okay, we got to move on here. I am not going to finish class. It's funny, last night's class, I rushed through it because I knew it was long, and I finished 15 minutes early. So I said, I'm not going to rush through class this morning. And now I only have 10 minutes to do 2 more pages. I think I can do it. All right. I just can't get it right. Someone like me, someone born as a member of humankind, can tell what helps or hurts. Assuming then that I never give up the Bodhisattva's way of life, why shouldn't I reach enlightenment? There you go. Long story, that's the conclusion. We have what it takes, especially being humans in the teachings. Come on, come on, come on. Now, suppose you say, but I feel a fear for the act of having to give away my arms and legs and such. But it's nothing more than ignorance, a failure to judge what's really heavy or light that makes you afraid. So he, I guess, is reading the mind of the audience, saying, yeah, I get what you're saying, but those bodhisattvas, they're asked to give their eyeball, they're asked to give their arm, they give flesh to get money, to make offerings. It's like, I can't ever do that. If you have to do that to become a bodhisattva, I'm not sure I want to do it. And remember when I said before, we have this attitude, I have to go to the grocery store. I can't do that because I have to go to the grocery store. Versus the attitude, I can't do that because I get to go to the grocery store. Right? The sense of eagerness to go and do something. This is the same idea. It's like, it's not that there's some rule that says you're not a real bodhisattva until you've given your eyeball away. It's that as a bodhisattva's bodhisattva life expands in their heartfelt care and concern for the needs of others, their relationship with their own body becomes less and less attachment and more like my body, like how I have the relationship with our car, right? It's a car. It's our car. We spent the money. We take care of it. But if somebody I know needs it, well, we'll loan it to them. Maybe if circumstances were extraordinary, we might even give it to somebody. But not until we're done with it or whatever. What if that relationship was with our body? It's like, okay, me bodhisattva, I've got this body, it's the tool that I use. But if somebody needs it for something, sure, I'll give it away. Because we don't have this belief that it's me. And that if I don't have my eyeball, there'll be less of me, or that it will even hurt. Will it hurt to give the car away? No, it won't give physical pain. Inconvenience, maybe. But do you see, by the time the bodhisattva is at that place, that it would occur to them to pull their eyeball out and give it to somebody. That would be as no big deal as, pulling out your car keys and handing them to someone that you're going to loan the car to. Because our whole adjustment in attitude has happened. Kongli, let me wait till the end of class, please. So recognizing that in these practices where we're saying, avoid harming others, just be kind no matter what, we aren't expected to push ourselves beyond being kind in such a way where we feel like we're getting hurt by it. Bodhisattvas are not required to do that. As we do our little efforts at pushing ourselves in the level of kindness. Our capacity to push ourselves further grows. Master Shantideva here is saying, look, it's our misunderstanding of me and other that blocks my ability to give of myself without this fear of pain, fear of inconvenience, fear of getting a bad result. When we understand that when we do a kindness, we can't get a bad result from that kindness. We can get something unpleasant in the next moment, yes, but that was not the result of what the kindness was that we did the moment before. Again, we're trying to train ourselves to be in the plant mode and use every ripening as the arena in which we plant new. Let's go on. Over countless millions of eons, infinite times, your body's been sliced or stabbed or scorched with fire or chopped up into pieces. Yet still, you were not able then to reach enlightenment. So Master Shantideva is saying, if you're wanting to avoid the pain of giving your eyeball to somebody else, it's like, look, you've had the opportunity to use pain for eons and you haven't done it. When you're Bodhisattva and you get an opportunity to do it, like, wow, that's something to look forward to, is the implication. Like, you've been hurt before. We're going to get hurt again. We can use it. We can use getting hurt by way of how we replant our seeds towards that situation and the other. He goes on to say, the sufferings now that I must bear to reach enlightenment are something that has a limit. They are like the pain that one endures when a cut is made to stop some agony spreading inside the chest. When we have an injury, for instance, and we go to the doctor to get it fixed, it hurts for them to set that bone and then put it into the cast. And we know that the bone has to be set in order for it to heal properly. And so it's like, all right, bring it on, I'm ready, do it. And it gets fixed. Master Shantideva says, any suffering we bear now, it's all gonna end. Reaching enlightenment means there's no more suffering ever. And it's like, if the suffering now is going to bring me to that, why am I working so hard to avoid it? When to avoid, as if we could, to avoid some unpleasantness now would leave those seeds growing. They're just going to be worse when they finally ripen. So do we need to be so intent on avoiding unpleasant circumstances to the extent that we are willing to do unkind to somebody to avoid that unpleasantness? Doesn't mean bring on unpleasantness. Just wait, right? Your beautiful, pleasant day, something will happen. It always does, that samsara. And then our enthusiastic response to that unpleasantness, to use it to plant some kind of kindness, is like changes it from an actual unpleasantness to an unpleasantness that's used for goodness. All of a sudden, unpleasantness is starting to get kind of slippery. Every doctor as well makes use of treatments that can cause discomfort to cure some greater illness. I should then learn to bear some minor hurt for the sake of bringing destruction upon a multitude of pains. Our willingness to undergo our suffering, using it to plant kindness seeds, is how we bring an end to all pain for everybody everywhere. So he's just said a doctor has to hurt us sometimes in order to help us heal. Then he says, but the supreme physician, meaning Buddha, does not perform his treatments in a way that's like those other ordinary ones. He cures the massive and infinite ills using a particular kind of technique that's gentle in the extreme. He says at the beginning, sorry. At the beginning, the guide directs us to acts of charity such as giving vegetables and the like. Once we have grown accustomed to these, then gradually in time we find we can offer even our flesh. Buddha doesn't say, once you take your Bodhisattva vows, you have to give all of your money away, give your car away, give yourself away. He doesn't say that. He says, start with what's easy. You don't want to give dollars to the fellow on the street? Take a bag of tomatoes and hand him a bag of tomatoes. Start at the level where it's comfortable with our giving moral discipline. And then push when you find yourself comfortable at that level, then find a way to go to do it differently, a little bit stronger effort, and do that until that's comfortable, meaning effortless, habitual. And then once the new level of giving becomes habitual, you push it up a little bit more. And as we stay at the level that's comfortable until it's habitual, the bar is raising of what we're willing to do, what we're willing to take on, whether it's unpleasantness that we're willing to take on or pushing ourselves in our giving, we never reach a place where it's like, wow, that's too much, I can't do that. And by the time we're at the place where our seed ripening opportunity is to give our eyeball to someone, it will be as natural as handing the tomatoes to the guy on the street that we first started with. And our seeds would even be such that giving our eyeball would help that person, right? In my world, if somebody said, can I have your eyeball? That it would do me no good. It would do them no good for me to reach in and hand it to them. Right? I would have to say, sure, I'll give it to you. Let's go to the doctor, see if my eye can help you, right? It would be, in my reality, you can't just hand somebody an eyeball. But that doesn't mean that I couldn't create a reality couldn't come out of my seeds in which it really would help somebody. You need an eye here. I'll just stick it in their socket and it works for them. Because things are empty, anything's possible. Not by wishing it, but by way of seeds ripening it in that way. So Master Shantideva is saying, that Buddha is saying, the whole system is designed to be done in this smooth, rising spiral of elevation by way of small, regular efforts at pushing ourselves away from our selfishness born of ignorance towards our growing bodhicitta. Little bits at a time, all day long. And in doing so, our goodness gathers. And as our goodness gathers, our enthusiasm gathers. And our discouragement decreases because we're always capable to act at the level that we've put ourselves into to act. It's just when we don't try to make changes in ourselves that we just circle. Even in our practice, we feel like we're circling instead of spiraling up. Making these little bits of effort is so pleasurable. And they even go on to call it the blissful path to bliss. Because the kindnesses that we're planting are at first are a little bit of an effort, but then they become habitual. And then more habitual and more habitual. And it's fun to be finding ways to react with kindness. It's a pleasurable activity. Let me see if that's the end. There comes a point when we reach a state of mind where we can view our bodies just like the vegetables. And at that stage, then, why is it we would feel it difficult at all to offer our flesh or the rest? I think that finishes class. Yes. Okay. All right. Thank you for the extra 6 minutes. I owe you about 15 by now. Please forgive me. So remember that being you wanted to be able to help at class. I'm going to finish and then I'll come back to you, Kongli. We have set in motion the end of their suffering someday simply by being here and doing this class. And that's a great, great goodness. So please be happy with yourself. There we go. And think of this goodness like a beautiful glowing gemstone you can hold in your hands. Recall your own precious holy being. See how happy they are with you. Feel your gratitude to them, your reliance upon them. Ask them to please, please stay close. To continue to guide you, help you, inspire you. And then offer them this gemstone of goodness. See them accept it and bless it. And they carry it with them right back into your heart. See them there, feel them there. Their love, their compassion, their wisdom. It feels so good. We want to keep it forever. And so we know to share it. By the power of the goodness that we've just done, may all beings complete the collection of merit and wisdom, and thus gain the two ultimate bodies that merit and wisdom make. So use those 3 long exhales to share this goodness with that one person. To share it with everyone you love. To share it with every existing being everywhere. See them all filled with loving kindness and filled with the wisdom of loving kindness. And may it be so. Okay, thank you. Thank you, Roxana. I apologize for going so fast. You're awesome. Kongli, yes.
Oh yeah, teacher. Thank you for teacher.
Yeah.
And
If anybody needs to go, feel free. But Kongli has great questions.
the simple one. No, along the way, today's a very good class, and because today's my understanding is actually we must understand why we want to do something, and then in a way that like even it is a big or small one, like giving our bodies away, and so we must understand why we want to do this, and then we cannot like we cannot do this or we cannot do that. It's like last time I understand that some area in Southeast Asia they eat meat, the practitioner, and then like mostly in China, they encourage you to take vegetables, don't do not kill animals and things like that. And then in Tibet, I think they do eat meat, isn't it? Because
Mhm.
Geographical area, some area they cannot get vegetables.
Right,
So I mean, today's one give me a very good understanding that we cannot say for sure we want to do this. No, we can do this or we cannot do this, but it's just like we must understand why we want to do this and why we want to do that.
right.
Is it correct to say
That
that?
is correct.
Yeah. Uh,
That's
so
correct.
actually I think this one is very confused in a way, to some, I mean, they don't understand. So they will say that, book says like that, you cannot do this, but they don't know the reason behind why. So that's why it's difficult,
Right,
I mean, in
right,
understanding all this. Yeah.
right, 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 right. And for some people, they are very content with their practice of just tell me what to do. And and right at some point that that's limiting.
Ah,
And for others of us, like, no, I want to know why, which then I won't meet the limit of being under someone telling me do it this way without explaining why. So yes, what I'm trying to say is don't judge the people who are happy in their practice of being told what to do until they come and say, why do you do it this way? And then you're welcome to explain to them. But don't impose your understanding onto them.
yeah, that's why it is difficult to
Mhm.
study, the Buddha knowledge, because there's
Right,
so many minor things behind it that we really need to understand. And
right.
then yeah, but anyway, I'm glad that I have the chance to learn that. Yeah, and thank you for teaching, really. So actually, there are a lot of things that I still don't know, and then I still need to learn
Good.
from the books. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you so much.
Keep up the good work.
I try,
Yeah,
but I'm
good.
kind of lazy, teacher. I like to do. I like to do it my way, so
Yeah, yeah.
but now I'm learning how to enjoy it, but so
Good.
so yeah, so I try. Okay. Anyway,
Good.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank
All
thank
right.
thank you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
bye-bye.
Yeah.
Thanks, Letty. Thanks, Roxana. I'm stopping recording.